Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with the full review of the box of Blokees Jurassic World figures that I acquired, and we're going to take a closer look at all of them. I was kind of debating whether I wanted to do individual reviews on the figures or just go for the whole box, but since they do come in one solid box, it's kind of like it's just one release. And I figured we'd just do one solid review of everything, but we're gonna have to, not really go super in-depth on each and every one, because, again, there's so many it would just take forever. So we're gonna go ahead and push them all out of here and bring them in one by one. So we'll begin with Rexy, because why not? It's probably one of the more anticipated figures from this group. And you can see, again, when it comes to the head sculpt, it does have a bit of an exaggerated look. I wouldn't say it's absolutely spot-on, picture-perfect, specifically in this area above the eye. Seems a little bit taller and pointed, but it for the most part has the gist of a Jurassic Park T-Rex, and I think definitely replicates Rexy in a decent way. We can see the nostrils sculpted out. The scale detail actually looks really good, really crisp, very highly detailed. There's all sorts of variation to the sizes of the scales. Again, the eyes are some of the most impressive eyes I've ever seen on figures, especially of this size. You can just see the eyes look very realistic, and they also feature a gloss coat. You do have an articulated jaw on the figures, which is really nice. Inside the mouth, you can see where the skin is stretching and stuff, but it's fairly smoothed out, not really highly detailed in that area. You can kind of make out what appears to be a tongue down there, and kind of looks like there might be some detail up there. But since these figures are smaller, it is a little bit harder to really get in the mouth. But we can see the teeth. Again, they are all sculpted together, but you can see each and every tooth kind of defined individually, which is nice. They don't just kind of blend together, which again is nice for the figures, and the articulated jaw works really nicely. Moving down through the course of the neck and body, you can see the skin texture and everything still looks really nice. Again, the neck articulation, like I was stating the other day, is really impressive. You can see, again, you can get some really nice turns in that neck, which is really surprising, honestly. That's about as far up as it goes. That's about as far down as it goes, but you can swivel it completely. And again, get some nice left and right. It's basically like a ball joint in there, and works really well. I'm very impressed and quite pleased with how the neck works. As you move down through the body, again, the body still has some pretty decent looking skin texture. Again, very crisp and very highly detailed, which is one of the more impressive aspects about these figures, is just how nice the detail looks on the figures. You do have a different style skin texture here for the underside. Again, not perfectly capturing the underside skin texture of a T-Rex from Jurassic Park, because it should technically have or at least as far as the older Tyrannosaurs, maybe not on Ember, I'm not sure, but they normally have a very trademark style of scaling on the underside. These ones don't have it, but it still looks pretty much in line with most of the other Jurassic Park T-Rex figures that are out there. Jurassic World T-Rex figures that are out there usually have this same style skin texture on the underside. So again, pretty much the standard for these type of figures. You do also have arm articulation, which was a little bit stiff, but you can basically go forward and back with the arms. You can hold them back into the body pretty nicely, or bring them higher up so it can scratch its head or something like that. Again, pretty nice articulation in that area. I don't know if it moves out away from the body. Yep, it does a little bit, you can see. And I'm very impressed as well with how, and again, it's going to sound like it's a bad thing, but how stiff the articulation is. And I don't mean that in the way of it's stiff or inconvenient. I'm saying it's really solid, and when you move the arm, it stays exactly where you want it. Where you move the jaw, it stays exactly where you want it. Same deal with the neck, and I'd imagine the legs would be the same thing. Yeah, absolutely. The articulation on these is really nice. I actually really enjoy that. But obviously you can see we have leg articulation in the hip region, again, forward and back, also out away from the body, which you can see, working very nicely. You've got the musculature displayed as you move down through the course of the leg, the knee in the front of the leg, and then you've got some nice scoots running down the toes, and then of course the claws and everything sculpted out, and we do have dew claws sculpted. Again, the feet are larger than, you would want on a regular T-Rex, but these Tyrannosaurs and these figures as a whole are kind of exaggerated. The proportions are a little bit different from what you would actually see on the T-Rex. Obviously, the tail's a little shorter, the feet are a little bigger, just the body's a little bit different, and I think that's kind of part of the charm, is that somewhat stylized look of the figures. But again, you do have that articulation there in the hip. You also have knee articulation, so you can move the knee forward and back, And again, really nice, solid articulation. And then you also have the ankle, which can go forward and back as well. And it can like really, really go forward and back, as you can see. So very nice, very smooth articulation for the T-Rex. And then you move up into the tail, and as you move out through the tail, again, the skin texture looks absolutely phenomenal the entire way out through the rest of the figure. You can articulate the tail left and right, up and down a little bit, and swivel again. So as you can see, when you do swivel it like too far, it starts to kind of push the two pieces together, because they're basically snap together pieces, and that's how you build your dinosaur. But the T-Rex, again, actually really quite nicely done. Then you've got the Triceratops. Now, very clearly, this Triceratops is based on the Jurassic World version, so that's like very evident just with the overall appearance of the dinosaur. But again, well, that sounded like a little questionable, but it just apparently was never articulated since I put it together. But again, when you lead here through the face, you can see, again, a little bit of an exaggerated look. You can also see that the skin texture continues to look absolutely gorgeous and very, very impressive when it comes to how vibrant and highly detailed it is. We do actually have like a slightly alternate shade of color, or maybe it's just a gloss coat there for the horns. I don't know exactly, with like the gloss coat almost making it look like it's a darker shade of color. Maybe? No, I think it is actually just a slightly darker shade. But either way, again, it looks pretty cool on the figure to have that nice satin shine on the horns, and you can as well see the satin shine for the eyes on top of that. As you move through the figure, again, the beak looks pretty good. The skin texture up into the frill also looks really nice and crisp. These ones would be fun to repaint. And I think we have an articulated jaw. It's a little hard to get in there and get the mouth open, but yes, you do have an articulated jaw for the Triceratops, which looks really nice on the figure. It doesn't look super out of place or awkward, and as you can see, it moves pretty much wherever you want it to. As you lead back, you do also have neck articulation, and again, it works pretty smoothly. As you can see, you can get some really nice turns to the head. You can even tilt it upward and to the side. Really, really smooth. Like, I really like the articulation of these figures. So that area is very nicely done. Moving to the back of the frill, you can see super vibrant scales back here as well. And as you lead through the body, same deal, same impressive, very nice looking scale detail, all sorts of variation to the sizes of the scales. You've got the musculature through the legs. As far as the articulation in the legs goes, you can move the legs forward and back, as well as in the elbow. You can articulate that area. And then for the rear leg, again, hip area, forward and back. And then you can also move it in the knee. So you can get some nice poses for the figure. I don't know if you can move the body. Oh, you can move the legs out here, but not back here. On the rear legs, they don't really come out away from the body. And then you do, of course, have tail articulation left and right, up, down. Same as the T-Rex. You could probably try to swivel, but again, it does swivel a little bit, but you'd probably push the pieces apart just like we did with the T-Rex if you went too far. And again, the skin texture looks nice the entire way out through the tail, and you do have a slight turn to the tail as you lead out there toward the tip. But again, pretty darn cool Triceratops. Then you've got the Stegosaurus, which again definitely has a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World sort of a look to it, but at the same time, again, definitely a stylized look. It almost looks like actually like a juvenile. It absolutely has a juvenile sort of a look to me anyway. But as you lead through the head sculpt, you can see the head sculpt looks really good. Again, the eyes look excellent on these figures. You've got the nostrils sculpted out. You can see the beak of the Stegosaurus and some nice looking skin texture throughout. This is maybe the only one, I think. Yeah, it looks like the Stegosaurus specifically is the only one that does not have jaw articulation, unfortunately. But you do have neck articulation, which again moves just like the others have. Very nice, very smooth. Can tilt and swivel that head just like you can with the others. As you move back, again, you've got all of the plates, which, as you can see when we turn it and let the light hit it, are extremely highly detailed. Same deal with the scales here throughout the body. These would just be so fun to repaint. I really want to, because the detail is so insanely high quality and crisp. I could imagine it being very easy to actually paint these. Leg articulation, forward and back in the shoulder area. Then you've also got elbow articulation, which you can see. Again, very smooth. As you move back through the stomach, you can see all sorts of variation to the sizes of the scales, finer as you get lower in the body, much larger as you go higher up into the body. Moving into the rear leg, you can see again the scales also decreasing in size as you go further down through the course of the leg. We've got the kneecap and everything there in the front of the leg. Again, same articulation. Whoop, forward and back. The knee tried to articulate on me. Doesn't come out. Oh, no, it does a little bit. Wiggles a little bit out away from the body. And then, of course, the knee articulation forward and back. And then as you move back into the tail, you can see there are a few areas where you'll see little seams like this. And that's because that's actually how you push the pieces together. If you turn it to the other side, you do have a more dominant side where you don't see those areas. But, you know, just because of the way that they're kind of snapped together, it's inevitable that you'll see areas like that. And if you really want to get crazy, I guess you could technically, like, seal those areas. I don't know if that would alter the articulation, but I don't think that, you know, when it's already a figure filled with, like, seams for articulation, I don't think these little seams are much of a bother to me. But as you lead back, again, you'll also see tail articulation, left and right, also up and down. And then you also have another spot out here by the thagomizers that can go up and down again, just to give you a little bit more articulation. You've got the thagomizer sculpted pretty decently. And also I noticed that there's like little areas as you move up into the plates, you can kind of see like little chips and stuff. So they've even added like little areas of damage that the Stegosaurus has, you know, acquired over the years. I love little things like that. Very nice little doses of realism. But the Stego is also pretty darn awesome. We've also got the Stygimoloch, again, which looks really nice, definitely quite screen accurate when it comes to the look of a Jurassic World style Stygimoloch. We can see, again, all of the details in the face look really crisp, the nostrils, the scale detail, the eyes, again, look beautiful, very nice, very realistic gloss coat on them. You can even see a gloss coat up there on the spike sticking off of the back of the head, as well as on the beak, so nice little doses of realism added to the figure. Again, we do have an articulated jaw, so that's pretty cool for a figure this size, and again, a species like this, it's nice to have an articulated jaw. As you move back here into the neck, you can see a little bit of a smoother style of skin texture as you lead down. You'll also see like the back of the head where it kind of connects to the dome area is opened a little bit. And it seems like no matter how hard I push, it never really seals that area up perfectly. Same deal with the body. It seems to kind of like slowly pop open a little bit, but for the most part, I haven't really had that issue with any of the figures. But as you move down again, the scales and everything look pretty nice on the neck. You do have the same type of neck articulation as the others, where you can turn it and go up, down, turn it, tilt it, all of that fun stuff. Again, giving you all sorts of different poses and display options for the Stygimoloch, which is definitely nice. And then as you move down, again, you've got the arms, which articulate forward and back, just like the others do. And also out away from the body, which you can see a little wiggle room that way. Moving through the body itself, again, the actual skin texture is extremely crisp and again would look fantastic with a more highly detailed paint job added to it. As we lead back, you'll see more of that moving down into the legs, along with, again, the musculature. You do have a little bit larger feet on this guy, but that's pretty much to be expected as they all have that kind of exaggerated look. Although the Stygimoloch is definitely one of the closest when it comes to just looking the way it should look. Leg articulation, of course, forward and back, also out away from the body a little bit, a little wiggle room like that, and then you can move this area forward and back in the ankle as well. It does not have knee articulation, but at least does have a few areas of articulation moving down through the leg, and then again leading out into the tail. You can see the skin texture and everything looking really nice, just like with the others. Again, though, there is like a little area here where you'll see on one side an extra seam, and then when you move it over here, that seam is not there. So definitely a really, really cool Stygimoloch, that's for sure. And again, like I said, it's probably one of the closer when it comes to these figures as far as the proportions go to actually looking like it does on screen. Oh, also the tail articulation, left, right, up, down, can swivel. This one actually can swivel without altering the body, so that's also nice. But again, really crisp and very highly detailed Stygimoloch, and that one actually comes with a cage, so you can put the Stygimoloch in the cage if you would like to as well. And then I also had this little coin sitting in the cage. This actually comes with the T-Rex skeleton, which says Jurassic World on it and has the T-Rex skeleton, basically the Jurassic logo, which is really cool. Then we've got Velociraptor Blue and Beta. Now, from what I've been told, this is one of the more rare figures. I guess like one of the interchangeable ones when you get one of the boxes. It could be any number of the different rare figures, and this is one of them, I guess, for this box. And you can see, again, that the actual skin texture as well as the head shape is just spot on to Velociraptor Blue. I think they did a really good job on this figure. The eye also, again, looks super lifelike and realistic, and again, really nicely shines on this figure. We do have very impressive jaw articulation, and the teeth are actually painted inside the mouth. As you can see, the teeth actually look pretty nice when it comes to both the sculpt and no sloppiness when it comes to the actual coloration on them, which is definitely a huge plus and shows you just how precise and how careful the Blokees company is when it comes to painting their figures. Articulation-wise, you can, of course, do all the same articulation as the others. You can turn it, tilt it, get all sorts of different poses that you might want for your Velociraptor. As you move down into the body, again, you've got those nice long arms here. You've got some scoots down the fingers. The claws are, of course, rounded, but these figures are meant to be, basically for adults and kids, so they don't want something that's going to hurt people. But articulation-wise, you can move the arms forward and back, also out away from the body pretty nicely, actually, so you can kind of turn them, maybe get like a shot of the Velociraptor coming in for a kill. Like, that's pretty cool to be able to achieve that pose as well with these figures. As you move back, again, the skin texture looking really good, really crisp throughout the entire body, whether it's the upper side, the underside, it looks awesome everywhere. You again have the musculature there in the thigh leading down through the leg, as well as the very nice, again, a little bit larger but nice looking foot sculpt with the sickle claw shining. This figure does have like a very dark, kind of like a silverish sort of a look, so the entire figure kind of shines, which does help the detail really pop on it. But leg articulation wise, forward and back, also wiggle room out away from the body, and then again in the ankle, pretty much just as the Stygimoloch had articulation-wise, but again, you'll definitely be able to achieve some really nice poses. And again, you lead out into the tail, and obviously, again, the tail's a little bit short, just like a lot of these figures, again, have going on, but I think, again, that's part of the sort of exaggerated look of these figures. And again, the skin texture looks nice throughout the tail, left, right, up, down, swivel, articulation, all of the standard stuff in that area. And blue actually comes with Beta. Now, Beta is also articulated, but not quite as articulated as some of the others. You can see there is no jaw articulation, but you do have neck articulation, and that can actually go down really far, and then again come up pretty high, so that's nice. Beta also has the eyes colored, looking really good. The mouth is sculpted in an open position, and we can see the teeth as well as the tongue in there. As you move down through the body, we do have the arms. The arms, unfortunately, do not articulate, but they do look okay as far as the sculpt goes. You can articulate the legs forward and back, which again is nice. But that's really about it when it comes to the articulation of this one. This one is super, super tiny. Fairly decent looking sculpt, again, for being a little beta. Obviously, it's not absolutely picture perfect, but pretty cool to just be able to have the baby raptor included. There is also the T-Rex skeleton, which, as you move through the box, if you happen to have seen the unboxing, if not, definitely check it out. You will find little pieces of the T-Rex as you move through the course of the box, and then once you are done, you can then complete your T-Rex skeleton. And it didn't quite push that shut altogether, apparently. But the skeleton itself, again, is really nicely detailed as well. I'd assume it's technically the skeleton of Rexy. And as you move through, again, it all looks really nice when it comes to the fine detail and very impressive as a whole. And it also features articulation, so you can basically pose it however you want. You can articulate the jaw, which, if I could just get a hold of it, there you go. You can get it open really wide if you want. And then, of course, close it pretty much wherever you want, looking really cool. You can also articulate the neck, left, right, up, down, swivel it, as well as this lower part of the neck. All of those same things you can do here. As you move down through the body, you can also articulate the arms. You can also articulate the legs, technically, as well as, again, the other side over here. And you also have knee articulation, so you can further pose your T-Rex, as well as ankle articulation. So it's pretty crazy that they have this much articulation on a figure like this. And then as you move out into the tail, you can as well articulate the tail right there and out here at the end of the tails. So lots of articulation on the Rex, lots of display possibilities for you when it comes to your Tyrannosaurus Rex. You can basically display it however you want. We also have the Stegosaurus skeleton, as I just knocked over a Spino bringing it in here. It's pretty much the same thing as the Stego itself, same articulation and everything. Of course, you just have a little bit different technically articulation right here actually, because this is only up and down right here, whereas you had a little bit more mobility in the neck of the living version of the Stegosaurus. But it is just basically like a nice sort of off-white tone of color, and again the detail looks pretty nice throughout the course of the entire figure. You can see especially up there in the plates, and these plates as well do again feature those little areas of kind of like damage and stuff as you lead out. Again, the tail looks excellent, the thagomizers look really quite nice. Everything when it comes to being a Stegosaurus skeleton looks really good on the figure, and again, having articulation allows you to be able to pose the Stegosaurus in pretty much any and every way you would like, and again, maybe even create some skeleton dioramas. Maybe you could have your T-Rex skeleton feeding on the Stegosaurus skeleton. So pretty cool figure there as well. We do actually also have some vehicles, which I'm just now starting to pick up. You can see you have the helicopter, and again, the helicopter looks great. And one thing I really like about this one is there are these little areas of plastic that you actually put in to create the windows for the helicopter, which is really, really cool. We can also, again, articulate different areas of the helicopter, as well as technically, I guess, grab onto some dinosaurs that you might want to carry away, so furthering the opportunities for different very cool dioramas. And you can even open the back hatch here and kind of look into the inside of the helicopter. The back door does kind of pop open, and the actual fine detail, again, really impressive for something like this. So definitely a really fun addition are these vehicles. At first I was really only excited about the dinosaurs for the most part until I actually got some of the vehicles in hand, and I'm much more impressed with them than I expected to be. You can even see again this one, which is the it has like the capture claw here on the front. Unfortunately, the capture claw itself doesn't really like open or close, but I'm sure you can get it around some of the dinosaurs, or at least some of the areas of the dinosaurs. It does articulate here a little bit though. You can move that little area all over the place, and then of course the wheels move very nicely. You have the Jurassic logo there on the door. It is pretty much a solid blue tone as you move through the entire vehicle. You do not have the Jurassic logo over here on this side, but even the undersides again have some pretty nice detail to them. Very impressive vehicle. Then you've got the truck, and the truck as well looks great. Has of course the articulation in the wheels. They all do move very nicely. Again, you've got that nice big cage there in the back. You do have the Jurassic logo this time on the hood of the truck as you move through. Again, you can get a good feel for how highly detailed it is. I wish it had actually like an opening here, like a little door you could pop open or something. I don't think it, well, you can technically take it apart, I guess, so then you can put your dinosaur in there and then pop this back in, but no real articulation with the actual cage. But again, pretty cool. And then the final figure is the Spinosaurus. We're going to bring this one in. There are two different versions of the Spino that I had in my box. I don't know if they all have the same thing when it comes to that or not. You can see starting here in the head, it looks really nice and definitely very much so resembles the Jurassic World Rebirth Spinosaurus. You've got the eye, again, looking absolutely excellent right there. You do, of course, also have jaw articulation, which can open pretty wide if you really want it to. I think I had actually moved it a little bit too wide and kind of popped it out of its joint, but inside the mouth, you can see there is a little bit of detail in there. We've got like the tongue and stuff. We also have the teeth all sculpted out, and they would definitely look really nice if there was some paintwork added to them so they'd pop a little bit nicer. But again, the inside of the mouth as well as the articulated jaw works really well. As you move down through the course of the body, you lead into the neck, and again, tons of variation to the skin texture and everything. This one would look fantastic with a fresh, more realistic coat of paint. You, of course, have articulation in the neck of the Spino as well, working just as the others have, giving you the ability to very nicely pose and display that Spino head and neck. As you move down, you've got the arms sculpted quite beautifully, the musculature in the arms, as well as webbing between the fingers, which is, of course, a really nice touch. You can articulate the arms forward and back, also out away from the body just a little bit. As you move up, you do have the sail. Now again, on this side, you do see a seam. On the other side, the seam is not present. So like I said earlier, you do have a more dominant side. But again, look at how nice those scales look on the sail area. They are really impressive. You've got some scoots moving down along the upper part of the body, some really crisp skin texture as you continue to move through. Again, leg articulation forward and back. You as well have the ability to actually to move it out away from the body, a little wiggle room that way. The knee does move forward and back, as well as the ankle moving forward and back. And then you lead back up. Actually, before you do that, you lead down into the foot sculpt. You can see webbing between the toes of the feet of the Spinosaurus as well. Again, larger feet than they probably should be, but still part of the kind of exaggerated charm of these figures. And then you move out and you have that nice paddle-like tail for the Spinosaurus. Again, a little bit shorter than it should be, but you can also see a beautiful curve to the tail as you lead out. You can articulate the tail left, right, up, down, and swivel it. So pretty much the same articulation you had through the course of all of these figures. And then the other one is that exact same Spinosaurus, except it is a blue, and it's a translucent blue, so some areas you can kind of see through, like the upper part of the sail, and then certain areas of the tail. It doesn't quite show off the detail as nicely as the brown version does, but does feature all of the same articulation and fine detail, just in a translucent bluish tone. Now, as far as a size comparison goes, because I'm not going to sit here and measure each and every one, that would take forever, but here is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to these quite small Blokees Jurassic World figures, and this does give you a pretty good idea of the fact that they are definitely on the smaller side. Now, when it comes to minifigure comparisons, here is a Captives Indoraptor and a Mattel Parasaurolophus mini. Now, the Parasaurolophus is one of the older minis, so it is a bit larger in size than the newer minis from Mattel, and you can see that these Blokees Jurassic World figures are actually a little bit larger than minifigures. And then for another comparison, we actually have two more minis, again, one from Mattel, one from Captives. We have two sauropods this time, just kind of giving you another idea of the size. And then when it comes to some of the other smaller versions of Jurassic World figures out there, Takara Tomy would be another brand I think you would probably like to see compared here. And obviously the Takara Tomy figures are a good bit larger than our Blokees figures. And then one random final comparison, we have some of the hatchlings from Kenner, again next to these Blokees figures, just to help give you one more final idea of the size and the fact that, again, these are definitely on the smaller side. I don't know if I'd quite say they're minis, they're just probably like a step up from minifigures. And also, here is one comparison with the vehicles, because I'd imagine you'd probably want to see something like that as well. This is one of the Jurassic World Rebirth Matchbox vehicles, and you can see that these vehicles from Blokees are of a very similar size to your standard Matchbox figures. So these brand new Blokees Jurassic World figures are actually really fun, and they are such a breath of fresh air because they are a little bit different from every other type of Jurassic World figure that we have out on the market, which we have tons out already. Again, not a bad thing. I love the more Jurassic World I can get in my life, the better. But we have, again, a new style of figure here. I love the fact that they do all feature articulation as well. The exaggerated look of them is really neat because I like the fact that they are a little bit exaggerated, definitely looking like Blokees type figures, but also really highly detailed and somehow almost, again, kind of being a little screen accurate. Like there's a really weird level of screen accuracy and exaggeration to these figures. It's kind of hard to just explain with words, but they did a great job on the overall appearances of all of their figures here. And again, I'm probably going to have to buy another box or two of these at some point in the future because I would love to be able to complete the line, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a hassle trying to do so, but you can get some new figures to repaint. And again, I would really like to repaint these because the sculpts are so phenomenally well done when it comes to the fine detail. They're also extremely crisp and impressive. So with these figures actually being painted, I can't imagine how nice they would actually look then. They could look really, really cool. And on top of all of that, you've got a lot of variety here with this set. Again, all sorts of different dinosaurs, different vehicles, which definitely help to add some play factors to these figures on top of the articulation of the dinosaurs. Also some more display options you could create. You've got skeletons. You've also got a T-Rex skeleton, which is, again, again, larger than all of the others, and also super, super cool to be able to articulate it and have just, again, a really nice kind of Rexy skeleton display. So there is just so much to love about these Blokees figures. So just like I did with the unboxing, if you are interested, I will include a link in the description to where you can pick these up on Big Bad Toy Store. So make sure you check that link, go pre-order these, or they may actually be showing up as in stock by now, I'm not really sure, but definitely pick them up. Again, they are really, really fun. And like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.